Just one question from me. The presentation, which I think we've all enjoyed, it seems to have primarily focused on issues from an economic perspective. I know
Mhm.
you've spoken about language and rurality and so on, but it seemed to me that we're actually missing a trick here because some of the difficulties we've been experiencing with legislation has involved other departments,
Mhm.
whether it's education or health and social care. And I'm just wondering whether you care to comment at all on that.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think ensuring that there's cross-government understanding and of the val of the benefits of these models is crucial. I think the cooperative development hub, I think that would be crucial to that. What we would want that to do, and we've released that white paper, which I'll send links to and everything, which sets out what that hub could be doing. One element of it would be identifying champions within sectors or supply chains, producing, learning materials basically to ensure that across those high priority sectors and all sectors of government, but also the wider economy, services, ensuring that people have access to the information about what a cooperative is, why it's a valued model, existing models where they're working, what are the barriers within sectors at the moment. That's something that the capacity that cooperative development hub would be able to have, ensuring wider understanding and understanding of the models, but also the value of them and why they're so often the gold standard. Is definitely something that I would need to do. But the key thing is that there needs to be the capacity for people to do that. Compass has been able to do that in some ways by drawing on various funding pots. That's something that Compass is able to do. So if, through shared prosperity funding and through various other project works where we've had experience of working within sectors or having it that, towards one specific goal of developing cooperative models, there has been success with a Perfin within the Welsh language context is another example of that. But there needs to be that capacity to identify champions, work with people to develop understanding, produce the materials that's needed for that. But definitely a priority.
Thank you. Chrissy, can you maybe later on in the meeting when you contribute, can you maybe focus on Pride in Place and the Cooperative Development Unit that's being established in England and just sort of puzzling through whether or not that might provide opportunity for cross-country working when it comes to maybe early years learning and so on. Alison, would you like to come in now, please? Are you muted?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, thank you, Dan. It was just really good to see that ambitious and very comprehensive agenda set out. I just wondered whether you were doing very much around the whole area of cooperative childcare, because for me, it links into what you said right at the beginning of that presentation, about being part of the solution for some of the situations that we're facing and some of those challenges. And certainly, across both England and Wales, I think, the discussion is wide open around how we can best provide needs-led childcare that is affordable, but also does the best possible thing for children and for their outcomes. So it's not just that economic aspect, but it's
Mhm.
also contributing towards child development. And I know that when Anna Burley was working at the at the co-op party in London, she did a huge amount of work around this that I think has probably just sat on a shelf ever since, actually. So I wonder if there's any chance of us, I suppose, revitalizing that, building it into the plan, and perhaps having a really strong focus on that moving forward.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I think obviously the context for this is, in Wales at the moment is the removing profit from the care of looked after children, decision that was made recently, which, we 100% support the intentions of and the spirit of that. Um, you know, the, the way, the some cooperative models were then excluded because of that policy, which, we didn't agree with, and we think there's huge potential for those models within that sector. Um, I think that might be an example of where there wasn't complete understanding of the different cooperative models that can exist, the value that comes from that, that they are for profit in some cases, but then how is that profit distributed? In some cases, the cooperatives themselves just weren't for profit, and you could have, rules within the cooperative models that allow that. So I think, that's an example of where there needs to be that work to, engage, really understand the different models that are available. CWMPAS is, we're now working on, ensuring that there is going to be that strong supply of, people looking after children in Wales. And we need to make sure that if transitions are happening, to ensure that people who are currently delivering that can continue to deliver that transition is done in a really values-led way, and that the cooperative values are maintained in the sector. So that's definitely an area of definite priority for us. It's social care as a whole is going to be such an important area for Wales.
Yeah, I think I was thinking more specifically around things like wraparound childcare, to support, to support working parents, to
Okay, yeah,
flexibility. I think totally agree with you around the social care model and the need to
yeah.
have that focus on that, because it is a very big need at the moment. But yeah, I just feel that particularly with the UK government's priority around, the childcare offer and so on, and also things that have been going on in Wales in the early years sector and beyond, over the last, well, certainly over the last 20 years around childcare. It seems to be a missing link, and I think that whole idea of community-owned, community-led provision has got so much to offer to communities and to individuals in terms of building their own self-efficacy and so on. So I'd just really like to see some concerted work around that, and would be more than happy, to throw some effort into that as well, if that was something you were interested in.
So our chief, I don't know if you've met our chief executive before, Beth Van Webber. She was at
No.
Home Start Cymru before
Okay,
CWMPAS. So this is
yes,
definitely an area that she's really interested in, really knowledgeable about, and
brilliant.
100% agrees with you and sees the need for this in Wales as well. So I think we would definitely be very keen to have a chat about it. I know that there are some models, and some organisations in Wales that are leading the way on this and providing, amazing opportunities across Welsh communities. But how we can develop that in a really consistent way across Wales would be something that definitely aligns with our priorities.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Jackie, your question.
Yeah, evening, Dan. Thank you. Really, really useful information. I think definitely what Alison brought up, I was really keen to hear, actually. So childcare is definitely one area that I think a lot of people struggle with, don't they? So it'd be good to see how we can do that. I think lately some conversations has made me question how we're actually getting out to communities, the local level, where we're talking about these things, and actually, Compass's voice is heard more. So I guess, is that what the development hub will help you do? I'm not sure if that's what you are, or is that more helping people put businesses together rather than actually how do we get into communities and preach it, really, is where I'm coming from. So and then my other point was when you talked about housing, is like the retrofit, and I'm aware there's like, companies out there that are not doing it maybe the way we'd like to see them, which is cooperatives, employee-owned businesses doing the retrofitting, in our own communities. So putting something back locally as well. So is that something on the radar? But mainly, when you talk about the hubs and the capacity, does that mean we're going to get more community-based and having them discussions locally? So that's what I'd like to see anyway. Thank you.
Yes. So I think there's two answers to that, community bit, and communicating and promoting these models within communities. In terms of the Crop Development Hub, I think that would be, so we've done that white paper, which we can send around on it, and there's so many different activities that this Cooperative Development Hub could do. The capacity would come along with that. What would be essential is that, like one suggested activity of that Co-op Development Hub could be training up community-based like development workers. Because where we have that kind of capacity with it in different parts of Wales already, which is coming from a long, working to set up those robust kind of community-led organisations within communities. That's where the best results come from, when it's grassroots driven, people who live in communities seeing what the need is, where the opportunities are, where the assets are that can develop into these. That's where it works best, and that's something where the Co-op Development Hub could act as something that could train up people who could do that then within local communities. So definitely agree with that. In terms of, I think it goes back to something I wanted to say about, in terms of this manifesto. This manifesto is policy driven. It's at the it's policy level. but there's a much bigger need, I would say, to actually to take these ideas and then take it to actual people within communities. It's really, as someone who works on policy, when you see this all written down as models and ideas and stuff, and then you actually go out and see people doing it in practice, that's where the actual work needs to go on, and that's where the really inspirational things are happening. And we need to do that as well, 100%. In terms of what we're going to do with this manifesto, so from now until Christmas, basically, we know the parties are writing the manifestos at the moment. So we're really trying to have as many conversations as possible like this, getting these ideas to people. And any support we can get in terms of sharing this manifesto, if contacts, that would be really, really appreciated. And then once those manifestos are written, it's not, it's that we don't want to forget about this. There's so many opportunities here. We want to put these ideas and these models and the recommendations, as part of the conversations people are having around the future of Wales. Election periods are very, stressful, and there's lots of, it's led by personalities, and it's party political and everything. But also they're exciting times because people are coming together and thinking about the future of Wales. What do we want Wales to be? What do we want Wales to look like now in the future? And as people are thinking about that, we want these models and the history of Wales, the cooperative history of Wales, all the things that are going on here. How can that be reflected even more so in our future as well? So we got the manifestos bit first in a way, which is the kind of boring, dry bit, to be honest. Then we can really start speaking to people in communities about what these models could mean for Wales in the future, and that's something I'm really excited to do. On the retrofitting point as well. Definitely, I think that's crucial, and that's within the we're talking about it a little bit within the asks around net zero and just transition. There has been talk before, I think within like Labour Party policy documents about the opportunity to set up like a Wales-wide network of people doing that retrofitting work, supporting consortium work, ensuring that people, self-employed people can come together to access some of the contracts, and doing that in a really sustainable way, setting up a Wales-wide cooperative that people could feed into. There's huge opportunities there. I haven't read the Cooperatives UK report that came out on this yet, but I know that a lot of work has gone into that, and that's going to have really robust recommendations on it. And that's an example where we could have that cross-nation working as well. What could Wales do to really lead on that work? What can we learn from what's happening in other parts of the UK as well? But yeah, it's one of those areas where we know there's going to have to be investment in retrofitting and in the transition to net zero as a whole. If we can put cooperative models at the heart of that, we're going to get the multifaceted benefits of building community wealth, ensuring everyone can access that, inclusive job opportunities, and yeah, so it's a really important area.
The other thought I just had then as well, Dan, is that local authority, all the local elections are next to 2027. And we should kind of be building for that as well, shouldn't we? Because a lot of the manifestos, will be kind of being built in the next sort of, I guess, after the Senate, because they'll know where they are with a lot of stuff then.
Definitely.
But that's a good time then, I think, with all the bit where we want to get into the community bit and get local authorities and local councils on board, isn't it?
Definitely.
So brilliant, great work. Yeah, loving it.
So on this, so a few years ago, we did a report of building stronger local economies, which set out all the different models, basically cooperative, social business, and all the different ideas around local economic development at the moment, and how they fit together into the community wealth building idea. So I think we're going to take that report. It's a few years old now, so we'll update it and with a new context and everything. But we definitely want to do that. And we want to take that report, take it to people, have conversations about that. We're building a cooperative Wales. We all know Wales is a community of communities, so how can we, ensure that idea is embedded, across the country?
Dan, thank you very much for your contribution. And I don't think it needs me to emphasise that what's interesting about Wales is there's quite wide cross-party support for the ideas that we're actually talking about. I don't think it should be underestimated when we're talking about elections and outcomes there. So thank you very much, Dan, for turning out on a Sunday
Thank you.
early evening.